Hi, in the part 1 we saw some meandering rivers that flow in flooding plains like the Hora River. Here we have the Hora River in the Amazonas basin, or the Purus River. This one is the Purus River. So they have a mobile riverbed. In this second part, we will see some meandering rivers that do not flow in a flooding plain, but at the bottom of a valley or a canyon, so they present a fixed riverbed. And I will try to give an explanation of this singular phenomenon. First, we travel in Algeria. And I consider the Shelif river, this one, the longest river in Algeria that has a more or less meandering path. It is possible to see that here we have a plain where the river runs. Then the river crosses a mountain chain, and after that it enters another plain. Here we have another plain. But even here in this plain, the river keep on maintaining its more or less meandering path. But even when it crosses the mountain range, the river has meandering path. So how is it possible that the Chetif River, even during the crossing of the mountain, keep on maintaining a meandering path? So a question arises: how is it possible that the river could have crossed the mountain range and have there a meandering trend? In fact, the situation here is this. We have two planes, this plane, this other plane, and both of these planes have been created by the flooding of the river. But the mountain range, the mountain chain, has not been created but by the river flooding, but of course they were created by the orogenetic process that led to their lifting. The answer may be that once there was a single plane, then the orogenetic process led to the formation of the existing mountain ranges. However, that the river where it now crosses the mountain has continued to maintain its original route, and thanks to the fact that its erosion speed is higher than the growing speed of the mountain range, it has managed to maintain the original route. Let me show you a 3D view of the whole situation. Okay, this is the first plane. Here the river crossed the mountain range, and then it flowed in another plane. And both planes have been created by the flooding of the river. Okay, now let me draw a cross section between the two planes and the mountain range, following more or less the path of the river. Here we cross the first plane, then more or less we follow the river during his mountain crossing, and then we enter the upper plane. Okay, as it's possible to see, here we have the lower plane, then we cross the hilly or the mountain range, and finally we are in the upper plane. It's possible to notice that we have a difference of altitude between the two planes, that is more or less 50 meters. This could mean that in the upper plane, this plane, the sedimentation has been greater than in the lower plane, or that orogenetic movement in the upper plane have been greater than in the lower one. So between the two planes there is now an appreciable hydraulic gradient that does not allow any sedimentation but permit the erosion. Ultimately, it could also be said that originally there was only one plane, which was then separated in two parts by the lifting of the mountains, so that even in the mountainous area the river was able to keep its meandering path. Obviously, what has been said before is simply my personal opinion that can be confirmed or not based on any comments that may be made. Another amazing example of meandering river with a steady riverbed can be observed in Europe, in Serbia. Here we have the Ubac River that crosses a mountain area with a meandering path. This is the Ubac River with its meandering path. This means that the river has managed to maintain the original route it had in the plain that existed before the rise that led to the formation of the mountains. And this is due to the speed of erosion of the river, which is greater than the speed of raising the mountain. Consequently, the Ubac River is no longer free to move in its alluvial plain, but is forced by the mountain to always keep the same path. Let me show you a 3D view of this area, this beautiful area. Okay, it's possible to see the river at the bottom of the valley between the mountain range. Another world famous river which has a meandering path but which does not flow into a floodplain is the Colorado River in the United States of America. Here there is the Colorado River. And in this area we have the Grand Canyon. In fact, the river now flows to the bottom of the valley, which over the course of thousands of years has carved into the rock that had originally formed in a marine or lake environment. And there is the Lake Powell. And here we have the dam. Maybe it's called the Hoover Dam. And as it's possible to see, for instance, here the river keep on maintaining its meander path, as well as its tributary, as this one. Here we have a meander that has a teeny diaphragm that maybe one day will be cut by the erosion or by the chemical dissolution, and now it's just it has a thickness of 30 meter, only 30 meter. So the river, its tributary, have maintained the path they had in the floodplain, which was the then relief of the orogenic event leading to the formation of the Colorado Plateau. I show you another amazing feature. If I'm able to find it. Here we have another meander that one day it will be cut by the erosion or by the chemical dissolution. And somewhere there is the world famous horseshoe band, excuse me. As a last example of a meandering river with a fixed riverbed, I take the Ardèche River in France. Okay, here we have the Ardèche River that is carved in a limestone massif. I dwell on a detail. Here in this area it's possible to observe an ancient meander. In fact, the river now flows throughout this old diaphragm, and as is better to see from the road. Okay, here we have the stone diaphragm that has been cut by the dissolution, probably the dissolution in this case, because we have a limestone due to the action of the water, and which led to a creation of a magnificent natural arc under which the river now flows. Thanks for watching.